I like my little Halloween clip. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another Q&A session with me. If you're new here, I'm Angela. I'm a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel is dedicated to those of you that are just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you some tips and tricks and techniques that I use every day in my own voiceover business, and I answer your questions in these weekly live Q&A sessions. And it's not just Q&A, I think it's community, get to hang out with other people that are sharing some of the same similar stuff that we deal with in our booths. And it's nice to have community and friends that understand and get it, right? Yeah. Well, if you're not new here, then you know that every week we have a poll. And this week's poll is, what is your pre-VO booth routine? I did a short on this not too long ago, and it was a question posed by one of the viewers. I forget who it was, and I apologize. And it was from a live a while ago. But it was a great question, and it really got me thinking. There is so much that you could do, I guess, depending on your circumstances or what you feel comfortable with. But what do you do before you start VO? If you're full time or part time or whatever it is, what do you do? Do you do anything? Or do you just jump right in and get started? But the responses that I listed were to avoid specific foods like dairy or something that makes your tummy rumble, right? Do you avoid anything specific? Coffee, even, do you work out and go to the gym? Get the endorphins going, get a little workout in. Tongue twisters or like vocal warm ups, even reading through a script out loud a few times, like I do, or all of the above. What do you do? And what you do is not listed as a response, then put it in the chat. I'd like to know. I'd like to know what you do before you jump into the booth. I find it interesting. For me, I would like to say that I avoid specific foods, but I don't, because I love my coffee. If you know anything about me, I love my coffee. Have it every day, can't function without it. As far as working out and going to the gym, I probably should. But I tend to save that for a break. I've mentioned before that I'm full time, so I'm in here all day long. So I work for about 2 to 3 hours, maybe max, and then I'll take an hour break. And that's when I'll eat, I'll do my workout, run some laundry, whatever it is. But I try to work in just 2 to 3 hour spurts max and then get up and move around. But I don't work out like I probably should. I got to fix that. Tongue twisters, vocal warm-ups, I don't really do apart from maybe the first script of the day. If I'm getting into an audiobook or something, then I'll read the script out loud a few times just to sort of, get ready, kind of clean the gunk out. If you are a apple cider vinegar shooter, I just remembered that. I guess that's not really in there, is it? That really isn't an option. But if you do the apple cider vinegar shot, go ahead and put it in the chat. I'd like to know if you do that too. I tend to find that not only is good for you, right? But I use the habanero kind, the fiery apple cider vinegar, and that tends to sort of clean everything out, right? Or all of the above, I can't say that I do. But so I guess whatever feels right. I'm going off on a tangent now. I can feel it happening. All right. So 30% of you said avoid specific foods like dairy. 20% of you said work out, go to the gym. 30% of you said tongue twisters of vocal warm-ups. I think those are actually probably the most important thing to do out of all of those options. Well, maybe not. Working out is probably important too. But anyway, VO specific, right? For vocal warm-ups. And then 18% of you said all of the above, which is probably it's probably a very good thing to do all of those, right? Especially the workout. because we sit a lot. We're in here by ourselves in our booth, sitting a lot. So working out is important. Make me feel bad. Now I got to go work out. All right, let's go to the comments and see who's here. Hello, hello. First, James, you have this knack for being the first almost every week. Good morning from snowy Saskatchewan. In answer to the poll 1 and 3. So that is avoid specific foods like dairy and tongue twisters. Okay, not so much the workout. I mean, even in a chair or something, you could probably, I don't know, probably do something. Twisted 681 says good vibes. I think that's a little emoji, right? It doesn't pop up on StreamYard. It does in YouTube, but it doesn't in StreamYard, unfortunately. Eric, my buddy Eric is here. Good morning, Eric. How are you today? What did you end up accepting that audiobook job? Let me know. Twisted 681 went through. What am I missing? The emoji, perhaps, that you sent, the good vibes? What do you mean? I'm thinking that's what you meant. Good morning, Angela, from sunny Playa de Carmen. Oh, how pretty. What's the weather like there? Is it sunny and beautiful as I imagine it to be? Oh, hold on a second. Louie. Cartoon Princess Angela. Oh my gosh. For those of you in my Facebook group, you'll know what he's talking about. He found this Tune Me. Is it Tune Me or something? And he took my profile picture and put it into this program, and it made me look like my partner said, Rapunzel from, Disney, Rapunzel. Those YouTube shorts are great. Thank you. A lot of the posts, I would be happy to put in some promo posts if I had admin privileges for the workshop. Just saying. Is that a wink, wink, nudge, nudge? I do need some help in that arena. You're right. I'm hearing everything that you tell me loud and clear. I do need some help. I can't do everything on my own, but so far I think I've done pretty good just by myself, but I hear you. I have no idea how to pronounce this, but I did just respond to an email from you. So thank you. I'm assuming it's the smiley face is about good morning. Is it, I don't know if you want me to use your real name, but is it Agitus? I don't know how to pronounce that. Eric says, gonna jump right into the questions this AM. Reading endnotes. Do they get read or not? And if so, how? Endnotes like citations, references, those sorts of things. Footnotes? No. Although I guess it would depend on the type of book that it is. When in doubt, ask your rights holder. What do they want read? Because typically, I would have to say half of my authors want the dedications, acknowledgments about the author. The typical front and back matter that, not so much the meat of the book itself from forward or introduction to epilogue or, conclusion. Anything above and beyond that is usually a 50-50. So in terms of if the rights holder wants it read or not. So I would ask them, but typically no, if you're referring to citations, references, or footnotes. But if you're referring to like a conclusion or an epilogue, absolutely. But always, when in doubt on what to read, ask your rights holder what they want read. It's their book, right? But just make sure that you ask those questions before you give them a price. If not, no big deal. Those sections are usually short anyway, but those are great questions for your rights holder. Grant. Good morning, Grant. Thank you for being here. Good morning, Angela and crew. Grant says, I make sure I hydrate well. Yes. Liberally drinking water for at least an hour before I step into the booth. That is a great point. I didn't list that in the options, although I only have 4 options that I can put in there. So you're right. You should drink an awful lot of water. It helps reduce the sticky mouth, right? Although I still get sticky mouth. Maybe it's all the coffee I drink. It's probably the coffee I drink. Doug Mack says, good morning, Doug McCraw, Greensboro, North Carolina. Oh, good morning, good morning, good morning. Coffee is life. Coffee is life. Yes. Oh, we just became best friends. John Popovich is here. Good morning, Angela and everyone. Good morning, John. Thank you for joining and being here. I appreciate all of you. I am Paximus. Love my cup of Java. Good morning, Angela. How are you doing today? I am fabulous. My favorite holiday is coming up in less than a week, and I am a happy camper. Love Halloween. For those of you that have watched me quite a bit, you know that I'm a horror junkie. I love horror movies. I love everything horror. I mean, right? Yeah. I'm doing fabulous. Kara, good morning. I know you told me, is it Kara or Kara, but my memory is just garbage. I think you said Kara. I think you said Kara. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Danny is here. Good morning from Texas. Starbucks medicine ball does it for me. Starbucks medicine ball. What is that? What is that? Starbucks medicine ball. What is that? I must know. JCC AOL says, I have to start out this show by wishing you and everybody a very happy Halloween. It truly is the best time of year. I have to agree with you because it's not just the creepy, horror holiday that people like me love, but it's also the changing of the seasons. It gets cooler. It's 58 degrees in Phoenix right now, and I am a happy camper. It's not 120 anymore. So, although my seasons, I don't really have seasons here. Nothing really changes colors, but still you can feel it. It's, the year is winding down. It's the start of the end of the year. So plus if you like pumpkin spice lattes, it's probably your favorite time of year too. James says, it's enough of a workout getting here before everyone every two. Okay. You're right. Louis says, oh my gosh, what a fumble. I would do promo posts, what I meant. I'll be happy to help. I know what you meant. We'll talk, Louis. Thank you for that. Blumenthal Francillon. Is it Francillon? Francillon. Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I'm not the best with names, but thank you for being here. Oh, okay, you tell me it's Blue from New Jersey. Good afternoon. When you first started VO, were you nervous? Yes, also starting VO work, and I'm so nervous. It's okay to be nervous. It's a natural reaction to start something new. Plus, your voice is becoming the voice of another company, right? You're representing another company in most cases with your voice, or an author, or whatever it is, and that's some responsibility if you think about it. Not only that, but then you have that imposter syndrome devil sitting on your shoulder, whispering in your ear about, are they going to like you? Are you going to do this right? Is your audio quality going to be good? You have all of these what ifs, whispering in your ear. And I say, what do I say? Punch fear in the face, which is what all of these what ifs are, and that imposter syndrome. Punch them in the face and say, I'm going to do it anyway. This is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it. And that is another reason why I say that your why for wanting to do this is going to have to be strong. You're really going to have to think on why it is that you want to do this business. Why do you want to get into VO? Why do you want to get into audiobooks? And it can't be just to make a little bit of money. It has to be more than that. Otherwise, you're not going to get very far, because it is a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And there's a lot of dedication and investment. Because again, you are representing a company, you're representing an author, you're telling a story when you're reading audiobooks or narrating audiobooks. So they are a lot of work. Not only that, but then the learning process too. Learning about all of the new technical aspects and learning a DAW and learning how everything is plugged in and works hopefully in harmony together, right? So it's a lot of work and it's a lot of learning, but it's okay to be nervous. It's okay to be nervous. It took me a couple of years to not feel nervous about this, to feel settled and comfortable in my ability and what I can and cannot do. So it's okay to be nervous, but work through it. Really take a good look at your why and use that as your strength to keep you going. But keep going. Oh, here we go. Thank you for that. Okay, haha. Akitas. Akitas. Cool. I like that. Eric says the RH is asking me. He doesn't know either. Well, tell him it's his prerogative. It's his book. You know, you can tell him that, I always ask my authors, do you also listen to audiobooks? And most of the time they'll say, oh, yeah, right? I've had a very few that said no. But you can tell them, do you typically hear X, Y, and Z narrated in that audiobook? Like the dedication, the about the author, the rarely, right? Um, so you say, really, it's ultimately this is your book, this is your production. What do you want in it? But if it is going back to what I said earlier, if it is references, citations, footnotes, something like that, reference points of maybe or explanations, glossaries, indexes, anything like that is typically not read in an audiobook. It's usually just the meat of the book itself, not so much the front or back matter. If that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. What is it specifically that he wants you? What is the terminology that you used? End notes. What specifically are the end notes? Like a conclusion or coming up next or also available on Audible? What are the end notes specifically? What are they? JCC AOL says the other thing is I want to mention is a podcast I have known for a while, but recently have been listening once again is the Twilight Histories podcast for storytelling with background noise. Really? I'm going to write that down. Hang on. Twilight Histories. Twilight Histories. I got to get back into my podcasts. I'm such an audiobook nerd. I've got 3 books that I'm reading for personal books that I'm reading for myself. Another book that I'm reading for a client to start an audiobook project. And then I'm listening to an audiobook. It's books, right? So I need to once I get done with one of them, I'm gonna maybe this audiobook that I'm listening to. Once I'm done with that, I think I'm gonna have to get back into my podcasts. I really enjoyed those. But thank you for that one. I'm gonna have to check that out. Jay Silver. Hi. Thanks for joining. I'm a voice actor for video games and animation, and I've been wanting to ask you, do you edit your auditions or send your audio in raw? Jay, most of the time I send my auditions in fully produced. I don't do them completely raw because I guess if this is a concern as far as how you should submit it, usually with the requirements or the notes or something in the audition posting is going to tell you whether or not, typically, not always, but sometimes they will say, please send it in raw if they have an audio engineer and they'll do their magic on it on their end. I know some voice actors don't do any kind of processing. I've heard most say that they work with companies that have audio engineers that want to do the audio processing on their end. But I guess it also really depends on your space. But for me personally, I send everything in processed, as I would if I were doing the audio. But I guess you could also ask if that is something that is typical with what you specifically do, video games and animation. If you find that most of the time they ask for a raw file, send them a raw file. But take your mistakes out and stuff, of course, anything glaring, but don't add any processing. But for me personally, I send everything over because most of the jobs that I get are upload to, end user use ready, end result. No one is doing anything to it after I have it. So I usually make sure that it sounds good, it's at the proper volume, there's not a lot of mouth noise, that sort of thing. It's done, done, done. But if you are in an industry or a niche where you find that you're asked for raw a lot, then send it raw. Clean it up, take out the mistakes and the big mouth clicks and stuff. But other than that, maybe send it in raw. Good question. JCCAOL says, I mentioned the Twilight histories because I was not sure about background noise for storytelling. But these guys have a way of pulling it off that really add to the experience. When you say background noise, is it really noise or is it just music or sound effects? What do you mean by background noise? Like noise? Hmm. Masonry Construction says, none of the above. Just have water or coffee handy. I love it. Yeah, I usually have both here in my booth. I have water and coffee, one in each hand. But you got to do something vocal to begin with to sort of, clear all that morning stuff out or the afternoon stuff out, just to sort of warm things up a bit. That helps. Speaking of which, should we check the poll? Let's check the poll. So again, today's question was, what is your pre-VO or booth routine? Like, what do you do before you get into the booth and start recording for the day? Do you have a routine or a ritual? So looks like we have 22 votes. 32% of you said avoid specific foods like dairy. That could be, it doesn't have to be specifically dairy. If there's anything that you avoid before you go in to record, what is that? So 30% of you said to avoid specific foods. 17% of you said work out or gym. It's good. Good for you. And then 39% of you said tongue twisters, vocal warm-ups, which I think are probably one of the more important things of VO specific wise. And 13% of you said all of the above. That's amazing. I envy you, all of the aboves. I just need to go work out. I need to do that more. Admittedly, I don't enough. Anywho. Okay, let's go back to the comments. All right, where in the heck did I leave off? Holy Moses. Oh, here we go. Elizabeth Ruelas. Hi, Angela and everybody. Hello, Elizabeth. I'm a new subscriber, and your Fiverr and Upwork advice has helped me so much. Thank you. Thank you. Great. I'm so glad. Yay. And thank you for subscribing. I appreciate you. When was that? That was less than a week ago. I hit 16,000 subscribers. That just blows my mind. Everybody who subscribes and watches and participates, I thank all of you. I had no idea when I started to make videos just to pay it forward. I'm going to get all emotional. When to pay it forward to those of you just getting started, I had no idea that this many people were interested in what I had to say. So thank you for that validation. And I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. And I'm so glad, Elizabeth, that anything that I have said has helped you in any way, shape, or form. I appreciate that. Louis says, does a Starbucks medicine ball have Monster or Red Bull in it? Oh, is that what that is? So it's not like a coffee drink. It's like an energy drink slushy type of a thing. What is that? Medicine ball. JCC AOL says, in regards to horror movies, have you seen any recently to recommend? I'm hoping to see Terrifier 2. Do not see it if clowns creep you out. clowns don't creep me out. Terrifier 2. I don't think I've ever seen Terrifier 1. How did I miss those? I have not seen any recently. The last time I saw anything sort of horror related was Nope, which I liked. I want to say I was a little let down about the ending. I was hoping for more, although it was pretty cool. I did like it. I want to go see Smile. I want to go see is it The Barbarian? Something like that. There's a few on my list to see, definitely. But most of the time when I have movie dates, it's with my son, so it's usually Marvel related, stuff like that. But I do wanna go see some horror movies, new ones, for sure. Terrifier 2. When did those come out? Terrifier 1 and or is it just Terrifier 2? And if you have seen Smile or The Barbarian, no spoilers. No spoilers. Blumenthal Francion? No, you pronounce it right. Oh, great. Yay. I did something right today so far. Thank you for that. Thank you for letting me know I didn't completely butcher your name. Janeri Rubio says, "Hi, Angela. Was wondering how often do you audition when you were still working full-time in the automotive agency? I still have a full-time job, but I really want to get started." I auditioned a lot, although I was at work from, good driving to the time I got home, 10, 11 hours, right? So that's a pretty good chunk of the day. And then as a parent, helping with homework, getting dinner done, getting the kiddos ready for bed, that's a big chunk of your day. So I didn't audition super a lot. I tried to not. In retrospect, I probably could have done a whole lot more auditioning, but I was trying to be careful. I was being optimistic, really optimistic that I would get more jobs, right? And I was thinking I don't want to overload myself, not knowing what I know now is that it's a numbers game. The more auditions you submit, the better your chances of getting a job offer. So, um although at that time I was on Fiverr and Upwork and I was doing really, really well on those 2 sites. So those kept me busy enough that I didn't really need to audition a whole lot right before I left the automotive world. But in the beginning, I auditioned, in my opinion, a lot, but probably not as much as I should have. But for you, if you're still working for somebody else, I would say you know best your schedule. You know best how much time to commit to audiobook narration or voiceover work. And you really just have to keep in mind how long things take you to do. And then once you have an idea, then you can start auditioning. Although I would say just audition a lot. Because if we're talking about audiobooks, if you have time for one, let's just say, like a mid-sized book, like a 50,000 word book, if you have time for one, but end up getting 2 or 3 job offers, you can still take those other 2, but then just schedule them appropriately. Tell your rights holder that you're starting another book, you'll be available on X day. And if they have some flexibility in their time frame, then you'd love to be their narrator, but you can't start until this day. And then what you're doing is just making sure that you have a constant flow of work. So there's nothing wrong with auditioning a lot, even if you're working with someone else, for someone else, I should say. But don't let that hold you back. Just keep going. Do it. You might have to sacrifice some nights and some weekends, but in the end, it'll pay off. It did for me. So I say go for it. Elizabeth, my pre-VO booth routine is walking my dog and practicing my vocal warm-ups to her. She seems unimpressed, but dogs are great. They'll listen to you, just eager eyes. Yeah, that's great, Mom. Give me a treat. Scratch my belly. Blumenthal says, I have been watching your past videos to understand my DAW and to understand ACX. That's great. So are you using Adobe Audition then, I assume? And to understand ACX, yeah. ACX is, I think, well, filling out a profile for any of these sites is tedious, maybe a little confusing at times. But once they're filled out, you just need to refresh them every so often. But filling out profiles for any of these platforms is just time consuming. Danny says, battling as to working on audiobooks with royalty share and low per hour rates. I wonder if the author is confident about their work or whether the rights holder is legitimate. Review your process, please. There's nothing wrong with starting out with royalty share and low PFH rates. That's typically how it goes in the beginning. And so you wonder if the author is confident about their work or whether the rights holder is legitimate. I'm not so sure what you mean about you wondering about the author is confident about their work. You mean like if it's not, or perhaps not a final draft or edited properly? But wondering if the rights holder is legitimate, there is some things you can do on your end. Don't just take anything anybody tells you at face value. You just can't anymore. So if you, for instance, if you're working through ACX, you could go to audiobookscout.com, and at the very bottom of their homepage is something called Author Snoop. And it's a little button that you can put up into your taskbar. Is it called your taskbar? Oh my God, I just had a brain that just like exploded. At the very top of your browser. And then when you're in ACX, you can use that author snoop to pull up a different page of information about that author, any books that they have already produced, all the books that are in like under their profile. So you can see if there's different names for authors under their profile, then if that's the case, they may be a publisher or they may have a pen name. You could also look up that author on ACX or just Google them, see if they have a website. And if there's something that doesn't seem quite right with the author, something's not meshing, you can reach out to that author directly through their website. You know, usually most people have a contact me on their website and ask them, hey, I just wanted to make sure that this was you posting this book to be made into an audiobook on ACX. I'm just doing my due diligence. And they say yes, then you know that is them. I've actually known somebody to do this, and the author responded with, no, that is not me. And they were able to, between the narrator and the author, get this scammer removed from ACX. But then the author reaches back out to this narrator and says, hey, thank you so much for doing that. By the way, I was thinking about having this book made into an audiobook. Would you be interested? So, you know, it works out either way. But if you feel your spidey senses are tingling, right? There's something not quite right about this listing or this author or something, then reach out to them. You know, there's nothing wrong with doing a little bit of Scooby-Doo on your end. But I ask questions. I ask a lot of questions to people. If they're like if it's on Fiverr or Upwork or somewhere else where there's usernames, I would ask them if the username doesn't have anything to do with the name on the book, the manuscript. I ask, you know, who is this person in relation to you? They might say, oh, it's my wife, same last name, or, you know, it's, or I'm a publisher. But I always make sure to include, well, great, if you own the rights to this book, I would be happy to help you, right? Just do your due diligence just to make sure that everything feels good, right? Before you move forward. Good question, Danny. Grant says, where do you get background sound effects for your recordings? Someone suggested I read bedtime stories for children. That's a great idea. My sound effects, music, all of my digital assets come from Storyblocks. storyblocks.com. There are a lot of different sites where you can get royalty-free sound effects, music, video, in the Creative Commons that you're free to use. But I use Storyblocks because with my membership, I get a license to use these things. And that sort of removes any kind of worry for me as far as copyright issues go. Because anytime anything is free, there's going to be a lot of people using it. So you might run into the problem of someone using the same song you did on something, but the other person tries to claim copyright on it where they shouldn't. And then YouTube goes, hey, you've got a copyright strike or a warning or whatever it is because this song is copywritten. And then you come back to YouTube and say, hey, no, this is Creative Commons. This is royalty free. But you can't prove where it came from, or you know what I mean? It seems to be a longer battle to try to clear up copyright strikes on Creative Commons stuff. But if you have a license that you can readily available that you could just send to your client or to YouTube, it usually clears up the copyright issue in a matter of minutes. So that just takes away any kind of, apprehension or it's just one more thing that I don't have to worry about. So I use Storyblocks for everything, and they do have everything. They have sound effects, they have music, they have video, they have After Effects, all kinds of stuff. So that's who I use. I hope you guys just didn't hear my stomach growl. Did you hear it? If you did, I apologize. Louie, if this was the first time I ever saw one of your YouTube shorts, how would you use a clip from this live to invite me to come visit your channel and join the workshop? LOL, because you're awesome. I appreciate that, Louie. I see what you're doing here. You're trying to tell me to use maybe to perhaps record another clip inviting people to come and check out my channel. As you know, I'm not one for self-promotion. I get kind of cringy when I try to promote myself. I just want people to know that I'm here to help. I'm not trying to really, maybe I should just stop being so self-conscious about it and just do it. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. You're putting me on the spot. The introvert in me is just cringing right now. I appreciate you, Louie, but Twisted681 says, my daughter, Aaliyah, says, hello, Angela. Is it Aaliyah? Am I saying that right? If it is, hello, Aaliyah. Thank you for watching. Tim Fields says, morning, Angela. Had gallbladder removed, but I'm okay. So I get to be off a few weeks, and now I can see you live. Yay! Well, I hope everything is going fine, that you're healing well. And I appreciate you being here, but although it's probably not under the best of circumstances, you're probably in pain and a little out of it. But thank you for being here. I appreciate you. And I hope you heal quickly. Is it Akitas? Did I forget already? Akitas. No, it's Akitas, right? Currently fighting a noise floor issue, negative 45 dB. I think I can use a plugin like NS1 to get where I need to be. But do you think it would be better to use EQ because I know the offending frequency range? Negative 45 dB. You could try NS1. Although if it's a constant like hum or noise, then depending on your DAW, you might have the ability to isolate the noise or the frequency and reduce it manually. I guess. Oh, what just happened? There we go. You could try the EQ too. I guess try a couple of different things to see what sounds better or what doesn't do whatever does the least amount of destruction to your voice in the process. Because you're right, there's a few ways to go about this, but just try Do you have NS1 already, or are you thinking about purchasing it? If you already have it, then I would say just try it and see if it works. If not, I mean, NS1 is more for ambient noise, right? Not so much like a constant hum. I think you might be better served in using EQ or manually, like isolating and manually reducing that particular frequency if you have, if that is the issue in your room. So just try what you have, what options you have, and see what sounds better. That's what I'd say. JCCAOL says, in regards to background noise, sometimes there is music, but other times it is technically noise. But it sounds like something similar to experimental music. Depends on the story. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. And that's Twilight Histories podcast. I'm going to have to go check that out. Eric says, am in the process of accepting the offer. Going to send him a short sample first. Wise. Wise. Make sure that everybody's happy before the job starts. Good job, Eric. JCCAOL says, Terrifier came out a few years back. The one thing I have to say is the man who plays Art the Clown is the nicest guy, and he does a great Joker. He has some videos on YouTube. Okay. Okay. How did I completely sleep on Terrifier? How have I not known about that? I'll have to go check it out. Janeri says, thank you so much, Angela. You're welcome, Janeri. Blumenthal says, yes, I am using Adobe Audition and I'm finding it to be user-friendly. I did too. I used Audacity for about 2 or 3 months maybe. And then it was suggested that I try Adobe Audition. And then everybody that I was learning from virtually via YouTube mostly was also using Adobe Audition. So I could take what they told me to do, whatever they were doing on their screen tutorial-wise, I could take that and directly apply it to my own DAW. So it made things a little bit easier to learn and to sort of get up to speed with Adobe Audition. So I find it to be very user-friendly too. I find that there's a lot more you can do with it than I found with Audacity. And I know Audacity has changed quite a bit in the last few years in terms of them adding more features and effects and things. But I'm still an Adobe Audition fan, so yeah, I find it user-friendly too. Rustic Hillbilly is here. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Janeri then says, I followed your advice to join LibriVox. Nice. Now I'm overwhelmed between is it 2 projects with LibriVox and my auditions? Well, once you finish LibriVox, well, to clear things up, I did say do LibriVox first until you're confident and then go into ACX. But it's okay to do it the way that you're doing it too. If you feel confident enough, then yeah, start some auditions. But I say do LibriVox first. Make sure that you're comfortable, finish those projects, although they do give you some time, right? They give you a couple of months to get, little chapters of the book done or whatever it is that you're doing. They give you plenty of time. But I would say try your best to get the LibriVox, like anything that you've committed to do, get those done first. And then, maybe slow the flow of auditions a little bit until they're done. Remember? No worries, Louie. It's just introverts love being put on the spot. Love it. I'll relax a bit. I might pick up a medicine ball and post it sometime later. Okay. But what is it? Is it like an energy drink from Starbucks? Something like a slushie? What is it? What is it? I have to know. Dale, is it Nahizer? Says, good morning. What is your take on Fiverr briefs? Oh, Fiverr briefs. I find that most of the time they don't fit my skill set. So I don't know. I know they're probably still in testing mode. Not so much like a beta test, but I think they're probably closely watching these briefs to make sure that they're going to be helpful and useful. But the majority of the ones that I receive don't match my skill set at all. or the budgets are way too low, or whatever it is. Although, no, wait a minute. Because you can set like a minimum dollar amount that you want to see briefs sent to you, right? So, for example, if your minimum dollar amount for briefs that you want to see is $50 and above, you shouldn't see briefs that are $10. But I want to say, in all honesty, I think I still have. I think they're still coming through. I'm going to have to go and double check now. But briefs, I think, are just another way for you to um, find work. I mean, it's not a perfect process. It's not perfect in any way, but it's just another way for someone else to drop into your inbox without you having to audition. It's another opportunity to work. So I'm still optimistic about briefs. I hope that they'll sort of iron out all of the issues with all the little technical gremlins, but I'm hoping it'll be a good thing once it's all ironed out, to be honest. But it could be just another great way for you to find work. So I'm optimistic. Always trying to be optimistic about things. Louis says, you totally speak my language with the verbiage you use. Can't call you a copycat because now it looks like you say the things you say first. What? It looks like you say the things you say first. What? I do say the things I say first. Punch fear in the face. Yes, but first, coffee. Then, punch fear in the face. Twisted681 says, yes, you said it correctly. Good. Akita says, manufacturing plant rumble. Oh, God. Really? That's what you're having to deal with? A manufacturing plant? Oh, my gosh. Yeah, so if it's a constant rumble tone, if you have Adobe Audition, you can remove the noise. You can remove that frequency from your file, but it's something you're manually gonna have to do unless you can isolate it in EQ and it sounds better that way. If you have the isotope plugins, there is a spectral denoise. If you watch Donnie Barnes on YouTube here, he goes through a great walkthrough and how to use that specific plugin from Isotope and how to remove noise without completely destroying your voice in the process. It's very interesting. I had no idea how to use that plugin. I've never needed to use it in my head because I didn't know really how well it worked to reduce noise. But something like that might be ideal for that kind of noise. So that's a tough one. So I'm hoping that you find something that does work for you because I'm not an audio engineer, but just from my own personal experience, I think one of those ways would work. You just got to play with it. Edwin says, good morning, Edwin. Hey, awesome, Angela. How did you apply your sound treatment foam to your wall if that is what you used? I started out with those acoustic tiles, that look like little wedges. And I couldn't get the darn things to stick to the wall. So what I ended up doing is I bought some poster board, like some thick cardstock poster board that was pretty firm or rigid. And then or pretty good size even. And I think I was able to fit like 6 of those tiles on that poster board with some spray adhesive. And then I would tack the poster board to the wall. So that way, once I move or something like that, I'm not stuck with a bunch of adhesive. Plus, I think I found that the adhesive didn't really work in here for whatever reason. I think it was the texture on the wall. So after a lot of trial and error and trying to get these darn tiles to stick to the wall, that's what I ended up doing with the poster board. But once I went full time, I came in here and I gutted everything. I redid everything. I took all of the tiles down, and actually some of the walls still have the tiles. I take that back. You can't see it, but behind this banner on the other side of it, there are some of the tiles. But I used these, what is behind me is moving blankets like if like a U-Haul type of a thick padded moving blanket meant to protect furniture when you're moving so it doesn't get nicked or scuffed or anything. These work really well in reducing reverb in your room. So I bought a box of these from Amazon and I drape them over the ceiling, all the walls, and then I have some tiles on my door. So, and it sounds a whole lot better in here than it ever has just by properly taking the time and properly treating it. Because in the beginning, you don't know what you don't know. So you're just doing your best at what you think is going to work and then doing a test and listening back and then go, okay, well, it still sounds echoey or whatever. And then, but just to get rid of any kind of option of reverb or anything else, I just draped every inch in here with moving blankets. There are still some spots where there are acoustic tiles, but every space is going to be different. You may not need to drape your entire room in moving blankets. Maybe just a couple of DIY acoustic panels work for you. And if it does, I'm jealous because I don't want to be in here with moving blankets all over the walls, but they work. They work with my situation, and that's fine. It doesn't have to be pretty. Your space does not have to be pretty. It just has to sound good, right? So that's pretty much it. In terms of hanging up these moving blankets, I got some really heavy duty like thumbtacks, and they're just tacked into the wall, into the ceiling. That's all. Nothing too difficult. Akita says using Adobe and do not have NS1 yet. NS1 is one of my favorite plugins. It's really good for, like I said before, reducing ambient room noise. It will affect the noise floor a little bit, but probably not as much as you need in particular. You're going to have to get kind of surgical about that particular noise because it sounds like it's going to be pretty much constant. So I don't know if NS1 is going to work for you for that reason. Because if you did get NS1 and it did work, you'd probably have to use quite a bit. Like the effect would have to be at a very high setting. And at the same time, it'll be taking all of the nice, natural, nuance frequencies out of your voice and making you sound like you're talking into a tin can. So you might need to get a little bit surgical about removing that particular noise. I don't know if NS1 is going to help with that particularly. MJ Rod says, personally, I get put off when there is background music on a fiction audiobook. I get it adds to atmosphere, but it's like reading. I don't read and listen to music the same time. Weird, maybe. That's not weird. I think that is why ACX, they don't prohibit putting music in audiobooks, but they say it's not recommended for that very reason. I think most of the time when I hear music in audiobooks anymore is usually like in a transition between chapters or at the start of a chapter, end of a chapter. That's about it. But music through an entire audiobook is, unless it's like a meditation or a children's book or something like that, you're right. I think it sort of just distracts or takes away from the read itself. But yeah, I think ACX would agree with you. That's why they say not to include music. But again, it's not prohibited. You can add it. They just don't recommend it. Oh, Sean Lester. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate you for the super chat. You guys rock. Thank you I'm just happy you guys are here, but thank you so much. I appreciate you. Louie says, I'm noticing some DIY videos where they create a padded circumference around the mic rather than encapsulating themselves in an entire room. What's the difference in sound quality? Yeah, and you'll also see it looks like a shield, right? It's like it attaches to your mic arm or like your boom arm or whatever that you're using to hold your mic. It attaches to that, and then your mic goes in the center of it. I've seen those quite a bit. And all that essentially does is blocks any kind of reverb from coming behind or mostly to the side of the microphone. It does not block any reverb above it, below it, or coming from behind you into it. So it's better to treat the entire room that you're in. Whatever space that you're using, it's better to treat the entire room because your voice as you speak is a frequency. And that frequency is going to bounce off all the surroundings around you. And your microphone is going to pick up all of that. And the bouncing is where echo comes from. So if you're in a room that has untreated walls, that shield is only going to block a fraction of that reverb in the room. So you definitely want to treat your space, not just directly around the microphone. You want all your entire space all around you, encapsulating you, like you said. You want to treat all of that to make sure that you have no reverb, right? It's better to treat the room for sure. Huge difference in sound quality. John Bergstead says, regarding the poll, I'm one of those in the all of the above group. Awesome. I wish I could. I need to work out more. So you are the quintessential VO recording artist, voice artist. You know what I mean? It's time for more coffee, is what it is. But that's great. I'm glad that you do all of them. I wish I did. Grant says the Starbucks medicine ball or cold buster. Oh, okay. Is made with jade, citrus, mint, green tea, peach tranquility, herbal tea, hot water, steamed lemonade, and just a hint of honey. So it's meant to be like nutrient rich and to help you with a cold, perhaps? Medicine ball. Okay. So it makes sense now. So I didn't know they had those. Interesting. Does it work? I have to know if it works. Usually when I feel something coming on, I'll go eat a raw piece of garlic, a raw clove of garlic, because that's kill, that's a antiseptic. Antiseptic, is that the right word? You know what I mean? Raw clove of garlic, and then I'll make some throat coat tea, which you can find on Amazon. Do I have a link for that? I don't know if I have a link for that, but you can find it. It's called throat coat tea. And it's a great tea that's got slippery elm in it, which gives a sort of um, soothing, lubricating. It's very hard to describe, but it sort of soothes your throat. And you can throw a little honey in there, a little bit of lemon, and you're good to go. But I must warn you, what I did not know is that it tastes like black licorice. If you're not a black licorice fan, hate me if you want to. I'm not a black licorice fan. That's what it tastes like. So I think is it star anise that has that flavor? I think there's some of that in there, which gives it the black licorice taste. But that's usually what I do if I'm not feeling well. And then, of course, lots of smoothies and stuff like that, because I like smoothies. Sean Lester 007 says, how did you get yourself focused before narrating? I've noticed that sometimes I will narrate a VO. Then when I listen to it later, I sound either rushed or bored, though I didn't notice at the time. Interesting. I think if you take some time to really break down and interpret what it is that you're reading and really take the time to put yourself in the shoes of that person. If you're understanding what the intent of this script is, who your audience is, like who are you talking to in this script? Who are the people that you're talking to? And where this is going, if you understand what your role truly is as the voice, and if it's character work, what is that character feeling? Why? Not so much how are you going to do it, but understanding why the character is doing what they're doing or saying what they're saying, and then really putting yourself in their shoes and delivering the lines as you would if you were in that position. I guess the same goes for commercial work too. So if the read was looking for something conversational, relatable, guy next door kind of a feel, whatever the product is, just act like you've tried it. It is great. And It's really important to understand, have a firm grasp on the intent and purpose and your audience for your voiceover scripts and your audiobooks. And take your time, do a few takes instead of just one. And then when you edit it, listen to all of your takes and try to do them different ways. You know, maybe one with a little less emotion, one with a little bit more emotion, etc. And then choose the one that you think best, and then read the script again if it's short, and then determine which one of those sounds most like, it should be as far as the intent and the audience are. That makes sense for for the script. Um, and take your time. Take your time with it if you can, so it doesn't come out sounding rushed or bored, unless you're supposed to sound bored, and that's a whole different can of worms. Eric says, regarding applying sound treatment to the wall, if you're using foam panels, either push pins or 3M double-sided adhesive tape. Only needs small amounts of tape per panel. I tried those too for my acoustic panels, and it didn't work for me. I tried double-sided tape. I tried all kinds of different pins, and nothing would I think it's just the texture that's on the walls. It just would not stay. But ultimately, that's what I ended up having to do, was to spray adhesive them to a piece of poster board and then tack the poster board to the wall. That's the only thing that worked. But good advice, Eric. There's a few different ways to approach it. I guess it just depends on which one works best for you and your walls, if they're very textured or something like that. Thank you, Eric. John says, not because I'm a glutton for punishment, but because my studio is in my former gym. Oh, that's convenient. Can't avoid it. Weight stack makes for a great diffuser. That is cool. That is cool. So you actually have to walk through your former gym. You're like, I'm going to do some VO today. Oh, maybe I should lift some weights. Or maybe you have like a treadmill and stuff like that too. That would be awesome. Awesome. Sweet. That's pretty cool. Louie says, T-shirt voiceover work is what I do, but first coffee. T-shirt voiceover work? T-shirt voiceover work is what I do. T-shirt voiceover work, but first coffee. Are you okay, Louie? Or did I just totally miss that? I need more coffee. Edwin says, thank you so much, Angela. Chanting, updated recording space tour. Recording. I think the recording space tour, the only walkthrough of my recording space that I've ever done and posted to YouTube, is what this currently is right now, apart from maybe these nano lights and my floodlight behind me, lights, ambient stuff. But the layout and the sound treatment is essentially the same. If I'm up for it later and I have some time, you know what? I wonder if I gotta find a camera, because I had a camera that I used last time, because I have a webcam that I use for this. It's not super portable, but if I can find something to get it to look decent, I'll do a recording space tour. But I'm just telling you now, it's not going to be much different than the last one that I did. But love you, hugs. You guys are awesome. Awesome. Spywood says, do you find that NS1 works better than Audition's native noise reduction? Yes, I do. I like Audition's denoise. I think it works really well for helping to reduce noise within dialogue. But NS1 does the same fairly well. It doesn't, I find, if it's not too high anyway, if you don't have to use too much of it, even if you do use a lot, it's not that bad. I've heard much worse, but it's really designed for just ambient noise, not so much as controlling your noise floor. So And noise floor only really matters if you're doing audiobooks, unless you have like glaring, you know, fan noise or something like that that is audible to the ear for someone else listening to the audio, then yeah. Um, but NS1 I really, really like. There is another one that is available on Waves now called Clarity. I think it's Clarity VX. That one is also very good. I've heard a lot of great things about it. I bought the plugin and I tried it a couple of times. I tried My experience with it is that I used it with an audiobook on audiobook files, which are, typically 20, 30 minutes to an hour long for audiobook chapters. And what it did, I found that it sort of like, s- it like glitched out and like split the audio in random intervals throughout the file. It made it unusable. And I don't know if it's something that I did setting wise because I still don't know that much about it. I only tried it the one time, got discouraged, and stopped using it, basically. But I've heard it works really, really well on the shorter stuff, like commercial work and stuff like that. But I tried it only the one time on audiobook files, and it did not work. But again, it was probably my fault. It usually is something I did wrong. I just don't know what I don't know. Right. So I still have the plugin. So I might have to do it, give it some credit and some time and learn it and try it again on something else. So Clarity VX, from what I've heard from other VOs, it works really, really well. My personal experience with NS1, I've used it for years and I love it. I have to say, I think it is better than Adobe's denoise. I do. Don't hate me, Adobe. Love you. Louis says, reverb. Yep. Gotcha. Thank you. Oh, about that medicine ball. Sounds not very tasty. Post probably looks hazy. Um, it's probably not super tasty, but I bet you it's beneficial. I'm hoping it's beneficial if they're promoting it as such. But I think if I can make something at home and I know exactly what is in it, and if I can replicate it to my own specifications for how I like something, then I'm gonna do that instead of going to Starbucks and I don't know. That's just me. But it's probably just meant to be helpful in overcoming a cold. I don't know. I might have to try it when curiosity is piqued for sure. I might have to try it one day just to go, oh yeah, this is really good. Or yeah, no, then pass it off to somebody else. Hey mom, I got you something. This is for you. No, I don't do that to my mom. I love my mom. Louis says, idea quote for a t-shirt. Voiceover work is what I do, but first, I gotcha. I gotcha. I gotcha. Um, yeah, I think that'd be a good one. I'd have to figure out how to. I like it. I like it. Got the wheels turning, hamsters running. Might have to do something with that. Thank you so much, Louis. I bow to you. Stop it. Stop it. Tech Voice by the Lake RX10 has a dehum plugin. Oh, that's right, they do. Is the dehum available in the Elements package, or is it only in the standard and advanced, like the mouth declick is? Is the dehum in? Although I would think the dehum would be at least in the standard, right? And that one has the mouth declick. And if you're going to go the route of isotope plugins, the mouth declick is what you want. So make sure that you're getting the package that has it. It's not available in the smallest package elements. It's available in standard and advanced, which is the middle one and the big one. I would imagine dehum is in standard and advanced, but I don't know for sure. But that would be another one to try out for that particular noise, for that low rumble. Could work. Wonder if I could try it. My stomach's growling. Hope you guys can't hear that. I'll have to find something to make a rumble and maybe test it. But dehum, you're right. I forgot about that one. Mason Reconstruction says, suggestion, send email to Waves Audio customer service and explain room noise issue. They can help advise proper plugin. Oh, that's a great point. I never think of that. You could reach out, no, that would be Isotope. I don't think there's any Waves plugins on Sweetwater. I think Sweetwater only has Isotope because Sweetwater has great customer service and sales reps. They will email you, chat with you, text with you, talk to you on the phone, and you choose something that's going to work best for you. But I never thought about Waves having that option too, but you're right. You could. Michael V says dehum is an Elements. That's awesome. I wonder if it works. I wonder if it would work for Akitas. It was Akitas, right? I didn't just totally. Oh yeah, Akitas. Yeah, for the manufacturing plant rumble. That's rough. That's a rough one, and I'm sure it's pretty much constant. Is it just constant, like 24/7? Akitas. Oof. Tech Voice by the Lake says in standard for sure. Yeah. Michael V says that dehum is an Elements, which is great. But if you're going to go the routes of Isotope, I strongly recommend putting in the few extra bucks for standard, for the middle package, so you can get the mouth declick. That reduces your mouth noise. It's gold. Michael V said Sweetwater rocks. Yeah. I would say a good half of everything in here, including my studio desk. I love this desk. And it's actually got rack mounts in the desk. It's like a multi-tier, like a two-tier. It's a two-tier desk. And in the second tier, there's enough space for my DBX and my Furman electronic conditioner. I always get the name wrong for that. But then it has a space enough for 4 units. So it's got a 2-stack on one side and a 2-stack on the other side. So I have enough room underneath to put my interface so it's out of the way. I love Sweetwater, but that's where I got my desk from. And I think my monitors I got from Sweetwater. Over half of what's in here is from Sweetwater. My headphones. Yeah. Megami, I think my Megami, no, I got those from Amazon. So half of what's in here is from Sweetwater. The other half is from Amazon. But I love Sweetwater. Akita says it is constant. Worse than being next to the GM plant. Oh, I feel your pain. I hope you come up with a great way to reduce that. John says, don't forget the best part of ordering from Sweetwater, the candy they send in the shipment. Yes, they do. Candy. Little pack. Do I still have mine? I saved the last one. No, I must have eaten it. They send a little packet of little hard candies with every order. And a sticker, I think. I got a sticker with the desk and candy. Link for the desk. I think my desk is actually in that last recording space walkthrough I did, because I've had this. I pretty much, once I went full time, I ordered everything, like new computer, new desk, new chair, my secret lab chair. I went crazy and I was like, I'm completely redoing this room with everything that I want. And the desk was, so I'm pretty sure that it has to be in that walkthrough. It's pretty cool, but I'll send a link for this desk if it's still available. Where can I put it? I'll figure it out. I'll get it to you guys some way, somehow. Elizabeth says, I'm working on my work-life balance. How many hours per day or week do you spend on your voiceover career? Oh, Elizabeth, I'm in here 7 days a week, but I'm full time. Um, so I can break up my day however I want to. However, I am in here 7 days a week, at least for a couple of hours. If, at the very least, catching up on emails or sending out proposals, stuff like that. Um, I also work with mentorees. I have a few different groups that I belong to where we meet. So I'm in here for at least a couple of hours every day. I try to keep my weekends more for my family, but I do slip in here for a couple hours and just take care of business. But for the most part, Monday through Friday, I'm in here working on my voiceover business. Probably a good 60 to 70%, no, maybe about 50 to 60% of the day. And then another 20, 30% on mentorees. I do meet with people um, one, sometimes 3 times in a day. And then there's the parenting. I'm a mom, so I have to, get the kiddo to school, pick him up, make dinner and all of that stuff. But I'm in here maybe anywhere from 2 to 12 hours a day, depending on the day and what's going on. But when I started, when I was employed for or working for somebody else, maybe 2 or 3 hours in the evening once the kiddo went to bed. And then some weekends I would be in here a lot trying to get caught up on stuff. So it's just going to depend on how your schedule works and how many hour blocks you can dedicate to this business. But the more you put in, obviously, the more you're going to get out and the faster you're going to get it. But if you have to go slow, you have to go slow. Your journey is your journey. You make it what you need it to be. But as long as you just keep moving forward, even if they're small little baby steps, every little step forward is going to pay off for you at some point down the road. So don't be discouraged if you feel like, oh, well, I only put in 20 minutes or a half an hour or an hour today. It's still progress. It'll pay off for you at some point. Just keep going. Don't lose hope. Just keep going. Just keep working at it. Akita says, okay, can you link the name of that plugin? The Clarity, is that the one you're talking about? From Waves. It's called Clarity VX. I don't think I can put links in the chat. YouTube won't let me put links in the chat. But if you go to waves.com, it's called Clarity VX. It's Clarity, but I think it's also VX at the end. I could be wrong about the VX, but just search for Clarity or noise reduction plugins, right? I'm sure it'll pop up. Joy says, hi, Angela. How big is the booth you're in right now? Hi, Joy. This is like a weird storage / office space in my little townhouse. It's like 5 by 6. It's not very big. I can touch both walls in here. It's got a fairly high ceiling, though. I think this is probably 7 or 8 feet. I mean, as far as some other rooms go, it's, relatively higher. But it's all draped in moving blankets. I think it took me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 moving blankets in here to cover the ceiling, most of the ceiling and the walls. It looks bigger than it is, but it's small. It's a small room, but it's big enough to fit my desk, my chair, and my mic stand in it, and to open the door. That's about it. Blue Sun 2x2 says, I just watched your video on pricing on Fiverr, and did I see a gig extra for coffee? You did. You did. I saw somebody else doing that. God, that was years ago now. Sorry, my mom just texted me and it totally distracted me. She's like, are you talking about me on YouTube? Somebody else did that, and they have since raised their price. But for me, it's like a pre-tip, right? It's a gig extra that says, contribute to Angela's coffee fund. I think his was fill his studio with the smell of coffee, or something like that, something kind of clever. And once in a while, people will do that. It's like I have repeat clients that do that. I have new clients that do that, especially when they're ordering something like express. I think it's sort of like a, "Hey, I'm gonna buy you a coffee too. Can you get on mine right now?" sort of a thing. Um, but every once in a while, someone will add that on, and it's $5, but it's basically you're buying me a coffee, you know, and it's $5. It's like, the minimum amount, but yeah, you did see one. I left it there. It's on all of my gigs just 'cause. Um, but first coffee, right? Masonry Construction says, make sure those are actually candies and not packing peanuts. They're actually in like a little Sweetwater bag and you can see through it. You can see all the little candies. There's usually a Fireball in there, some sweet tarts, um, Werther's. Was there Werther's in there? Or like a butterscotch type of candy? That's like a bunch of random little hard candies. Yeah, but every order gets one. What does your young Padawan think of your doing VO? He likes it. He likes it. He's the reason I do this. He's the reason that I started this business. He is my why. So it's very, very strong. I wanted to be more available to him as a mom. And he thinks it's pretty cool, actually. He can't wait until I'm doing animation and video games. Um, I think I don't know if he's, like, proud or would tell all of his friends at school about it, but he he thinks I'm YouTube famous. I said, "Honey, most of the people you watch, got millions of subscribers." I'm like, "I'm not doing content like that for that. I'm" but, kids, it's like, you got more than a couple thousand subscribers, and you're like, "Oh my god," you know? But I think that part he likes because social media is everything at that age, but I don't know if he's proud of my voiceover work, but he thinks it's cool. He thinks it's cool, I think. Akita says, "Okay. All right, I gotta wrap this up, guys. I gotta get back to work. I got some audiobooks to start." But last question. Andrew Shelton, not Shelton, Sheldon, says, "Hey, Angela, new to VO, and I love your videos. I think I sound too nasal when I listen back to my audio, even though others say I don't. Any advice on vocal techniques and or confidence building?" That goes back to my friend imposter syndrome. Punch that guy right in the face. We are our own worst critics. We truly are. There's going to be nobody harder on us than ourselves. And I would even say having somebody else listen to your demos or your samples and you're looking for some feedback on what you call nasal, I would not have a family member or your partner or your children or anybody else immediately close to you in your little circle listen to it for feedback on that. I would have another voice artist, an audiobook narrator, someone in this industry that has developed the ear for these things and play it. And maybe not even mention the nasal concern. Just say, "Hey, what do you guys think of this?" And listen for the feedback. It could be all in your head. It could be you looking for stuff that is not right. It might sound just fine because we are aware of all of these things. As a voice actor, audiobook narrator, people that have to listen to audio and create and record audio all day long, dialogue. We're looking for breaths. We're looking for nose farts. We're looking for mouth clicks. We're looking for a nasal sound, a tin can sound, some rumble next door. We're looking for all of these things that we are hyper conscious of. And we think they might be there, but to someone listening to what you're actually saying, not everything else in it, they're actually listening to an audiobook, right? They're listening to your story. They're not focusing on the mouth noise or the nasal sound or the nose farts. I mean, they might be audible, but they're not registering because they're paying attention to the story. They're paying attention to the scene that you're painting for them, right? Everything that we notice is more than likely not going to be noticed by anyone else listening to the story, right? Unless you're in this industry and you've developed the same ear, because we're all hyper conscious of this stuff now. So I think for you, long story short, I would, if you're in my Facebook group, post a demo and ask the other VOs for some feedback on it. I have almost 1,200 voice actors and audiobook narrators of varying levels in my Facebook group, the VO Workshop. And I encourage you to post a demo. And if you're in my group, I encourage you to respond with some constructive criticism. If you hear mouth clicks, reverb, a nasal sound, a rumble in the background, that you let that person know so they can become aware of it and fix it. Because we get too accustomed also to listening to ourselves and possibly our bad habits. We're not aware that they're there sometimes because we fall into like these rhythms sometimes and we may not even notice something that we're doing that is distracting or that just doesn't sound right. And when you have someone else who has the ear that's in this industry, listen back to it. They can tell you, hey, maybe if you softened this or added more emphasis here, or you're just doing this random rhythm with your voice or whatever it is, you can be made aware of it so you can fix it. But I think most of the time, Andrew, it's probably not you. There's probably nothing wrong with the recording. It's just, the imposter syndrome devil sitting on your shoulder. Punch that guy in the face and kick him out of the studio. That's what I say. Punch him right in the face. Okay, I lied. Let's do a few more. Michael V says, I love seeing you light up when you talk about your son. Oh, I do. I know the exact feeling. And now I get to feel it for my grandson as well. Oh, congratulations. It's too soon for me to be a grandma, but I'm excited about that as well. I have to say. Yeah, I love that kid. That kid is my everything. Akita says Clarity VX Pro. Thank you. So it is Clarity VX. I think there are, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there's two versions. There's Clarity VX and there's Clarity VX Pro. And Pro, of course, is more expensive. I'm not sure what makes it Pro, to be honest. But do a little Scooby-Doo on your end. Do a little research and see what the difference is between the two. Andrew says, Andrew, my mouth is refusing to work. Great advice. Thank you. You're spot on about imposter syndrome. It's a killer. It is. It is. And it never goes away. For me, at least it does. And it peeks in the studio door every once in a while. You just got to turn around and kick him. Kick him or punch him in the face and say, no, not today. We're doing this and we're doing great today. Look how far I've come. Michael V says, not VX Pro. Not VX Pro? Not VX Pro. I think there's two, unless they stop them. But when I bought Clarity VX Pro. And at that time, there was two options, VX and VX Pro. Did they discontinue the Pro? Joey says, I get that feeling too, but I just keep going and then play it back. A lot of times it was just my imagination. Yep. It usually is. Usually is. Akita says just the VX then. No, I think there's two. Oh yeah, Michael V says, yeah, Pro is $249 and VX is $39. I'm not sure the difference between the two, what extras the Pro has. It was a while ago and I told you my memory's garbage. I don't remember all of this stuff. But there had to be a reason why I opted for the Pro. I just don't remember what that was. I'll have to get in there and play with it again because it seems like it would be a good plugin. And I've heard some very, very good things about it in terms of reducing noise from dialogue specifically. That's what it's for, is for specifically dialogue for vocal work and removing noise from it. So in theory, it should be a great one. Elizabeth says, "Thank you, Angela. I also work 7 days a week on my VO." Atta girl. Get him. Akita says, "Yeah, just more stuff." Yeah. Yeah, just more stuff. I'm not sure what that stuff is, but yeah, it's more stuff. But hey, guys, thank you so much for being here today. I've got to run, but I appreciate every single one of you. I will be here next week, same bat time, same bat channel. And everybody have a fabulous Halloween. Halloween is a week from yesterday. Celebrate, have fun, be safe, check your children's candies, you know, but just be safe. Love you guys. Have a happy Halloween, and I'll see you next time.